Hello, everyone. Tonight, I got to see a beautiful, important, moving play at the studio called These Shining Lives. I'm going to start right now by telling you that this was opening night. I don't know how long it runs for, probably a month. I will put the dates and the website link in my notes. If you are anywhere in the greater Central Florida area, you need to get to the website. I think it's thesharon.com, and then you can link to the studio, or you can just Google the studio, Tierra del Sol, it's an extension of the Sharon Performing Arts Center in the Villages. Go see this play. It's 90 minutes, no intermission. Shows start at 7 o'clock, evening performances. It's only seats about 100 to 120 seats. I call it a three-quarter round. So that's the stage, and it's kind of a thrust stage, and there's audience side, in front, and side. We were on this side, which stage right, the house up. We were on the very last row, right on the edge. Saw everything. Beautiful. I mean, it's three-quarter round. So there are times that you're going to see the backs and you're not going to see every facial expression. So what? You can hear and you know what's going on. And it's beautiful. What a magnificent play. This is a play based on the true story of the Radium Girls. I think there was a documentary. I know there was a movie, I think a documentary, there's something, but this is a true story about the 1920s and 30s. There was the Radium Dial Company. They paid women to paint with radium. This is when people thought radium was good for you. Would paint the faces of the clocks, and they had to have a really fine touch. And so they would take the paintbrush, and they would dip it in the radium and then get a fine point to it and dip it in some more, and then they'd paint the clock, the numbers, and they had to be precise and everything. It was all done by hand. Well, we know now what happened. Okay, they all got sick. This is a real exploration on some of the gender equality issues that has plagued our country and our world from the beginning of time. It's definitely these companies, because at some point they did know that they were taking advantage and making these women sick, but they didn't care because they were women. And also because it's big companies. I walked out and my friend Maria and I went, and she's like, this is still really relevant. This is important. And I'm like, it made me think of the David and Goliath, and the Goliath being the big companies, and David being the everyday man. So and then of course there is the whole gender issue, that women were expendable, women were not smart enough to catch on what's going on, or so what, it's really sad, and it angers me, that's the way. And you know what? I'm sorry. There's still a lot of issues in gender equality to be addressed, and women still do not make the same as men. So I'm not going to get off on a tangent there. I just got to say it, because this play made me really think about that more. So it's a beautiful play based on true story, based on true people. And it's written by Melanie Marnich, or Marnich, Marnich. So, and it's a really nice play. What I have to say, what I'm going to talk about, is the fact that, once again, the studio has done a beautiful, moving, important piece of art. And they've done it in a way that you're not overwhelmed by production. Now, they can do big production. I mean, La Cage aux Folles, which they just did, gorgeous sets, costumes, the feather plumes. I mean, it's not that they can't. They can do production. But this story, they wanted it to be, I'm assuming, they wanted it to be about the story and the actors. Four women, that centers around four women. The main woman, Catherine Donahue, is the character. It's played exquisitely by Ashley Ann Gardner, who I have seen at the studio before. She had one of the main roles in the play called The Cake that I absolutely loved. I want somebody to do that play again. And they did it so well. Um, and so she kind of works as the narrator, and she is the main character, the protagonist of the story. And it centers around her. And Catherine Donahue is a real person, was a real person who did sue the Radium Dial Company and took them to court and went all the way to, I think, to the United States Supreme Court. She won. And then she died. Sad. Ashley plays this role. We see her in the beginning as this young 19-year-old wife and young mother, and she's so excited that she gets to help her family by earning $8 a day. And it's piecework. They could earn up to $8 a day. It depends on how many watches she painted and how good they were. And so that's when companies used to pay by the piece. And she's so excited to be able to contribute. And then we watch her over. Then she forms a bondship with these other three women. Frances, played by Robin Donavant. Pearl, who was played by Kayla Jones. I think this might be Robin has been, at least I remember she was in Urinetown, and I think maybe another show at the studio. These are all professional actors. They work all over the place. Kayla Jones, I think this might be her first show at the studio. Amazing. She played Pearl. And then Claire Lopez, who this is her debut, but she's a very seasoned young actor. And she plays Charlotte. The four of them form this great bond, and we see that bond develop because we see them when they meet, and then they develop and they hold each other together as they all are out of a job and they're all sick and they're all dying. It's a very sad story. I'm not spoiler alerting because we know what the story is. What I want you to know is how beautiful this play is. There's also two men who play a variety of roles. Kevin Kelly, who is an equity actor, and then Joe Edward Metcalf. Joe plays Catherine's husband. Kevin plays, and many other roles. Kevin plays Catherine's boss and many other roles. There's this brilliant scene between the two men because it's all about the women. That's what it's supposed to be about. But there's this brilliant, very short 2 or 3 minute scene. And that's when, for me, I needed my tissue. I was already welling up. I was getting a little teary here, a little teary there. I wasn't bawling. This isn't a sob story. You're not going to walk out of there feeling depressed. It's not like that. It's a beautiful play. I want to talk real quick about Nathaniel, who is the resident director there. Nathaniel Naimi, I think is how to pronounce your last name, Nathaniel. Sorry. What a gifted, talented director you are. I mean, I've loved everything you've done at the studio. He's the resident director for at least the last couple of seasons. He so skillfully and so deftly directed this piece, allowing the story and the acting to take center stage and to be what it's about. And with such also sensitivity, you really as a director and a experienced theater aficionado, I saw the beautiful directing. As a normal patron, you would not. And that's the joy of great directing, is you don't see the directing, you see the stories. Another thing that you did in this play that I just love, Nathaniel, I'm talking like I'm talking to him, right? It's one of my things when I direct, and I am beginning to see that I am recognizing this in his work. There are moments where he has these incredible pictures that the positioning of the actors. If you were to take a snapshot and look at that picture would tell a story on its own, and it would captivate you and bring you in. Just a beautiful job of skillful directing. Phenomenal acting. Artistic director Whitney Morse, producer Jason Cogkin, the entire staff, the team, the designers. I really have no critique of this play. I really don't. It was beautifully done. The studio is once again proving that they are top notch regional theater and we need to support it. You need to go see it. This was the final show of their season. Um, they have an amazing season for next year, including Cabaret, the musical. I tickets. Their season tickets are going on sale here in the next few weeks. I think soon. I have it marked on my calendar. I am going to buy them because I'm telling you, their last musical, La Cage aux Folles, I think it was maybe 1 week into the run and it was completely sold out. I do want to point out they're doing a wonderful farce called Unnecessary Farce. This is a great comedy. I saw it a year or two ago. It is hysterical and funny and really a good show. That's in June. So, but first, you need to turn out for amazing acting, a beautiful, important, relevant story, and brilliant directing. These Shining Lives at the studio, Tierra del Sol in the Villages, right now. Go see it. And tell them J. Scott Berry sent you. That's my Theater Talks with Scott for this time, and I look forward to seeing you guys at the theater. Bye. Turn it off. Turn it off already.